Now in the following of our tutorials in JavaScript, we're going to talk about numbers. And to do so, I'm going to create a new file for numbers and call this numbers.html. Also another new file for numbers.js, the JavaScript code, or okay, let's change it to numbers. And here in the HTML code, we need to change this to number. Okay, save the code and let's get into numbers. So we want to work with some numbers. We've talked about them, but here we're going to talk in more detail to prevent the probable bugs that you might face. So generally, there's nothing fancy about defining a number. We use let x equals to 7, for example. Or in order to define a floating number, we can write let y equals 2.33, right? And so if you check the type of both of them, the result will be a number. So we don't have such thing as float or integer. Every number is considered as the type number. We also have a scientific form of a number for the large numbers. So for example, you have let z equals to, and then you have a number like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have 6 zeros after that number. So we can remove them and write e, and then we can write 6. So this number equals to 120 with 6 zeros after that. Okay, so it's 124 million. So anyway, and there are times that you have a number that is very small, and so let a small number equal to, and here imagine that you have 5 digits after a dot. So let me comment this. So instead of this, I can write 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can write e, and then minus. And how many digits do we have after 0? 5 digits. 6 digits. So minus 6. So let us console log these two scientific numbers and see how we'll see them inside of the JavaScript console. So console log, and then we have parentheses, and inside of that we can print out the z in small number, save, and then let us open the script related to that. So we have numbers. Let us find numbers. Where is it? There it is. So inspect elements, and inside of the console we have the numbers. So they're not shown here with the scientific form. They're shown in their own simple form, but it's just the same way as we had written in the comment, right? 124 million, and here 5 digits after dot. So let's get into the code and play a bit more with the numbers. We also have a number called infinity, so let another number and write infinity with capital I. So let us also check this one. Really interesting what JavaScript console will show. Another number, save the code, refresh the page, and it shows infinity, so the same as what we've written. And this infinity is very useful in JavaScript, especially when you want to get to somewhere that is out of the limits of calculation of JavaScript. So as you know, no computer today can calculate up to infinity, okay, because infinity never ends. So we have the longest number that can ever exist, and that has no limit. So there are certain circumstances where we have infinity as a result, and the result we will face that is because the number of times that something may happen is infinity. So anyway, we will get to that, but now let us play a bit more with numbers. So as we said earlier, if you want to convert a number into string, you use .toString method, and we learned that in the string section. So console.log, and here I can write type of, and then I can write x to string. So this should show me the type of the x. So let us write something else too. Type of x here, and let us check both of them. So x and x to string. Save and see what happens. So the first one is number, x is number, and x to string is a string. So as a result, let us see what is the result of addition of these two. So if you add, so let addition equal to x plus and x to string. Save the code, and we can console.log the addition. So by saving this, the result that I guess will happen is 77. And the reason is we have a string added to a number, so the result will be a string, and the number will also be converted to a string as well. So this is a number, this is a string, okay, but in order to add a string to a number, the number needs to be converted into a string. So JavaScript does this automatically. And if I save the code and see what happens inside of the Google Chrome, so what is here? Function to string, native code. Let me check the problem. Okay, we haven't put the parentheses. Save the code, refresh, and as you can see, 77 is shown just as expected. But what if we don't have that and we have multiplication? So multiplication, and we have x divided by, or okay, we have a multiplication, x multiplied by x to string, parentheses. So here I want to console.log multiplication. Save the code, and let us check here. Oh, it's 7 multiplied by 7. So here we won't have that kind of problem. So as you can see here, because we have multiplication, and multiplication doesn't really make sense for the strings, so this time the string will be converted to number instead of the number being converted to a string. So this time it is very different from the addition. Also, we want to use subtraction. So let subtraction be equal to x minus x dot to string. And then inside of the parentheses, we write nothing. So save the code and refresh the page. The result should be 0. And okay, we haven't used this in console.log. So let's put it there. Okay, and save the code. Refresh the page. As you can see, the result is 0. And that is because 7 and 7 to string are both 7. So again, this one is converted to a number. So for minus and multiplication and also division, we have this. So let's try division as well. Division and x divided by x dot to string. Here we have parentheses. Also, let us console log the division. Save the code. Refresh the page. And the result is 1. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So here, as you can see, except for plus, other mathematical operations will convert the string to a number and we won't have any problem. But for the addition or plus, the number will be converted into strings. So there will be no mathematical operation. It will only concatenate a string to a number that is converted to string. And so this is really important and you should be careful. Now you might ask, what if two of these variables are strings? So let us try this for division. Let division 2 be equal to x and x dot to string parentheses and then division and then again x dot to string, and then here we want to console log division 2. So let's see what happens here. This time two of them are strings, but the two of them, because they don't it doesn't make any sense to divide two strings together, it will check if it's number, it will divide the two numbers together. And also imagine that in the division number 3 we have the actual strings. So division 3 equals, and here I'm going to write the actual string without a number in it. So for example, I can write James, and I can here write divided by and another strings Sarah. And then let me save this, and also let us console log division number 3, save the code, refresh the page. As you can see, we've got none, and none is here shown for the moments where it doesn't make any sense. So they're not numbers in the strings, okay? Doesn't make sense to do that. But when two of these are numbers, then it makes sense to do that. Or for example, we have 5 James divided by 5. Let's see what happens here. Still we have this none as a result. So because James, there's no way James can be converted into a number because it's not a number inside of the double quotes. And the same thing happens for multiplication and minus, but for plus, this any kind of strings that you have, whether it's a number or it's an actual string without a number, it will concatenate the two variables together, except for the times that two of them are numbers in actual numbers. So for example, we have 2 and 2, and they're not inside of the quotation marks. And here, as I've shown you, just a moment. Okay, I haven't shown you that, but let me write addition number 2, and here, for example, 5. Yeah, I've shown you, I think, but no, I haven't tried that. So, and let me console log addition 2. Console.log addition 2, save the code and refresh the page. So the result is 56. 5 and 6 are concatenated, not added together, because they're two strings. Two of them are strings, and even if one of them is string, again we have the same result. So I've shown you that earlier, but as you can see here, even here, the result is the same. So okay, so that's it for numbers and strings and the mathematical operations between them. And there are moments when we face none, and so we should avoid those circumstances. Now, one more thing is we haven't tried the addition of 3 numbers and a string. So we have 2 numbers and plus a string. Let's see what happens when we add them. So as you might guess, we will have them concatenated all together, but I don't think that happens all the time. So let's try. Let's addition number 3 equals, so let us find something like a string x to string plus x plus y. So to make it easier, let's console.log instead of defining a new variable. So console.log, I have parentheses. So now let us save the code, and here let me check for y here. So it's better to, okay, no problem with the float number. Let us go after the Google Chrome and refresh the page. As you can see, we have 772.33. So we have 2 sevens. So all the numbers are concatenated together, and so it's just as you expected. But let us see if the order changes. So console.log, and here we can write x plus y plus x to a string. Save the code and let us look at the Google Chrome. So as you can see, it's just a different number. By the way, something else needs to change. Here we need parentheses. Okay, save the code, refresh the page. As you can see, the number changes here. So here we had 77 and 2.33. We have here, instead of that, we have 9.33, and then we have 7. This 7 is the string 7 that is concatenated with 9.33, which is the result of 7 plus 2.33. So first of all, we have 2.33 added to 7, which is 9.33, and then added to and concatenated to 7, which is x dot to string, and the result is this. So here, first of all, these two numbers are considered numbers added together, and then these two are concatenated with a string. So first of all, they're numbers, but then they're wrapped into a string and concatenated with the other string. So as you can see, the order here makes a huge difference. So keep that in mind and be careful about that. Also, I mentioned the number and the circumstances where you will face none or not a number. So imagine that we have a variable called not a number. So let b equals to not a number, and another variable c equals to a string, or a number like 5 to make more sense. So let us console log the addition of these two, b plus c. So now save the code and let us look at the Google Chrome console. As you can see, not a number 5. So these two are concatenated together, and not a number here is converted into a string, not of the type not a number. So this one becomes of the type, this one has a type not a number, this is a string, but because they're added together, not a number type has been converted into a string, and then the addition of these two is also a string. And there are also other cases for numbers. So this is, I think, the last one, and we're going to create a number as an object. So let's see how we do it. Let number, or we can write something like let n be equal to, and for defining a number you use new. So new, and then we write number for declaring it to be a number, and then we can write 5. You can also define another number, let n2 be equal to 5. So let us check whether these two are the same. So I can console log n2 and check if it's equal to n. And by the way, if it's true, you will see true as a result, and if it's false, you will see false. So it checks whether these two are identical and equal as each other. So if it's true, so as you can see, the result is true. So we've created an object which is of the type number, and we also have created a number. And so as you can see, they're both equal to each other. So let us also check the type of the object number, which is n. So console log n. We want to know the type of, and also the type of n2. Save the code, refresh the page. So the first one is object, the second one is number, but at the same time both of them are true. Both of them are considered as identical to each other and equivalent of each other. So when we test the equivalency of these two, you will see that they're the same, no problem, but their type are not the same, right? So that is another important thing to keep that in mind.